volunteered to do the sections on accommodations. So you can go ahead and get started, Doug, whenever you're ready.
I'm ready. We can get going. Absolutely. Well, let me go ahead.
I'm going to stop my share.
Okay, gotcha. 1 second.
Last time it just automatically.
Oh wait, I had to change something, Doug. I think okay, now you can share.
All right, hold on. Here we go. Oop. Well, y'all are gonna have to bear with me. I am not the most technologically savvy person. Can y'all see it?
Yeah, we can see it.
You can see it. Okay.
Yeah, I can see it, Doug.
There it is. Yeah, I have been the butt of many jokes among my friends who know that I am not good at PowerPoint and pretty much any kind of technology. I mean, it's really, you know, I've tried, but technology has always escaped me. So I'm going to beg your forgiveness this morning if I start talking and my voice drops out, or if you start seeing our agency's COVID detail spreadsheet or whatever else. What you should be seeing is my PowerPoint slides. So Bambi and I talked last week. Bear with me, my phone's ringing, and just, you guys hold on 1 second. Turn that down. Okay, I thought I had muted that. Bambi and I talked last week about me presenting today, and I'm happy to do it. I will admit I have not done any new training. I've not conducted any new training in about 6 to 8 months. Largely because of the pandemic, but training is like riding a bicycle. You never forget how to do it. So the bicycle that I'm riding is probably going to be a little wobbly, and even though I've put some WD-40 on all the gears, it'll probably be a little bit squeaky. So again, please just bear with me. If I misspeak or if I stutter or whatever, it's just trying to find my bearings. But hey, at least it's a Friday. At least it's sunny. At least it's just a wonderful, wonderful day. I will say this. If you've ever sat through any of my training, you know I'm a bit like Stanley Kubrick. I kind of meander from topic to topic to topic. If we're in Baton Rouge, I will take you to Port Allen, but we're going to start in Natchez, and then we're going to go to Monroe, and then we're going to go to Shreveport, and then we will go back down to Port Allen. So I tried to minimize that this morning. I am a kind of a stream of consciousness person. I think it just how I am. So I tried to streamline this. We have about 30 minutes. I will probably talk for about 20 to 25. I do want to invite you, certainly if I say something that resonates with you or piques your interest, certainly chime in. Bambi, if possible, if someone's raising their hands or trying to get in the word edgewise, if I don't see them, it's not because it's just going back to my being technologically challenged. If you could just say, hey, Doug, someone has a question, or just share the comment. But I do want to invite all of you to comment. This was a fun topic, but I think the biggest challenge is, any of these action items in our agency plans could be a half-day seminar. So boiling all that down into a 30-minute talk, that can be challenging. And you're talking to someone or me, I could talk days and days and days. So it was a bit of a challenge. So anyways, let's get ready. Let's move forward. Please just chime in as you have questions, or if I say anything that piques your interest or something that resonates, please just speak up. I will say this. I got the Pfizer vaccine yesterday morning, and I wasn't expecting this, but I started getting symptoms, just kind of achy and cloudiness and whatever. So I'm mostly okay today, but if there's some haziness, it's just, we're going to blame it on that Pfizer vaccine and not me just being a silly person. So anyways, if you don't know me, or perhaps you've heard my name, probably most of you don't know who I am, and that's fine. I'm Doug Boardloom. I work in human resources. I'm an HR manager over at DEQ. I have about 19 years of state service. Actually, I hit 19 years as of yesterday. At DEQ, I've been over here about 5 years. I do primarily benefits, payroll, and timekeeping. I do wear a few hats. I do some training and development. I've also done a fair amount of work, employee relations, particularly FMLA, ADA, any type of EEOC issue. I write our agency's affirmative action report. So I do a few things. I've been told that my training often feels like group therapy. So if this feels like group therapy, you should know I am a licensed professional counselor. I've been licensed just over 16 years. So if you feel like at some point we're all sitting on beanbag chairs and, in a circle just talking and whatever, that's just the counselor in me. So I think this is an interesting topic. I think this is time well spent. I think the benefit of talking about where we all are, making certain we're all on the same page, is we start to learn what we don't know, and it gives us the opportunity to say, hey, if you're new to the task force, if you're a new representative, or if you're a new task force member, these are some things that you need to be aware of. If you're a veteran member, maybe we're going to talk about some things. Oh, you know what? I didn't know that, but thank you for bringing this to my attention. So it's an opportunity to ask questions. It's an opportunity to reevaluate what you may know or what you don't know. I approach this by, these are best practices. We all bring something to the table. We all bring our years of experience. We all bring our wisdom. We all bring something unique. And in the 16 years that I've done HR work, I've seen a lot. I've heard a lot. I've done a fair amount of policy implementation. I've done a fair amount of training. So I'm coming to this training from the perspective of someone who has an HR sort of slant on things. But if your background is different, I mean, certainly share what your wisdom is, or share your experiences. I mean, that would be, it just makes the experience that much richer. So the 4 items I'm going to be talking about, and I just call these action items. In putting these together, some of these items require more investment in time. I've been on as a task force representative, I've been with the same almost be 3 years in September. And I realized that some of these, very quickly, I realized some of these items require significant more time and more resources, perhaps more patience. The last one, item 4.11, that one's a little more straightforward. My undersecretary asked me in August or September of 2018 if I would serve as a representative on this task force. I said, sure, absolutely. So when I started doing the reading and I looked at the governor's executive order, it was clear to me that there were some themes. And it's clear to me that the work we're doing, this is about promoting awareness, and this is about promoting inclusion. And I think that's the heart of everything we're doing and everything we've been doing for almost 3 years. There are some other themes that I'm going to touch on in the next couple of minutes. One of those things are obstacles. And that's where this list of best practices comes in. So when I started doing the research and I started putting together information and I started looking at what does our agency plan look like, what should it involve, what are some of the tasks, etc. At some point, I got a referral, and I'm pretty sure it was Brenda Boer, sent me, there were 3 people who were clients at LRS who had applied for vacancies at my agency. And of course, the intention is, hey, if these people, if these hiring managers in these various sections are still interviewing, contact these hiring managers and let them know about SAME and let them know about these applicants. Hey, no problem. Glad to help out. So before I made the phone calls to the hiring managers, and it was 3 different hiring managers over 3 different sections, I called a former coworker of mine who was also serving as a task force representative. And I called her and I said, look, have y'all gotten any referrals from LRS? And she said, yeah, we got a couple. I said, when you contacted your hiring managers, how did that conversation go? Or, what was the feel? Or just give me an idea, because I want to put a script together. So we talked, and she said, I contacted them. I used words like, hey, these are LRS clients. They've applied for various positions. Would you consider pulling their applications, taking a look at it, and maybe even contacting them for interviews? And she says, you know, the managers were all amenable. They were like, hey, great, no problem. We're happy to do this. So the first two managers at my agency that I contacted, they were on board right away. This is fantastic. We would be happy to do this. Just tell me the client's names. You know, we're happy to do this. Then the third manager that I contacted, and I used my little script. I said, hey, this is Doug in HR. Told her what was going on. And I said, a LRS client has applied for a position in your section. I saw that you're the hiring manager. Would you consider pulling that application, just taking a look at it? If you think that this person would be a good fit, would you contact them for an interview? There was a long, about a 5 to 7 second uncomfortable silence. And then I hear this. Can I at least see if they qualify for the position? Boom. Our third theme, obstacle. This is also a teachable moment. This is also why we need to do the training. This is why we need to talk to our hiring managers. This is why we need to talk up what SAME is and what inclusion and awareness, what those things mean. And I think when we all hear that tone, can I at least, and you know, this was a telephone call, but I'm sure there was probably some eye rolling and what have you. This person was digging their heels in. Now, I'm not a mind reader, but I can pretty much bet what this person was hearing was, this is Doug from Human Resources. I'm telling you, you have to contact this person, and I'm telling you, you have to hire this person. That is not what I was telling this person. I was requesting. So we talked about another 10 or 15 minutes, and you know, she raised some valid points, but I think I also raised some equally valid points. And I said, you know, this is about helping people who often find more obstacles than not when it comes to finding meaningful employment. You know, we all have some obstacles, but the people that we're talking about have some more, and sometimes it's a lot more. So my point in sharing this story is that in implementing this plan, in implementing the governor's executive order, we're going to find some obstacles. And we have to know how to respond to those obstacles. So when we're educating people on what SAME is, we have to be prepared. Occasionally there will be some pushback. Now the conversation after, you know, about 5 or 10 minutes, you know, she understood what I was saying, and I was not telling her, look, you have to do this. It was, this is a request. If you've already got all the people, or if you've already made a job offer, then, you know, totally understand, it's fine, but this is a request. So we have to, while we're promoting inclusion and we're promoting awareness, we have to understand how to have the conversation. So at any rate, that's the story. We're going to be talking a lot about awareness and inclusion and what those things mean, particularly when we are doing these action items. Okay, so oops. The first three items, 4.8, 4.9, and 4.10, those are, I think, the easiest things to do the training on. And what we do is we identify, you know, our hiring managers, our hiring supervisors, anyone at the agency who has a hand in hiring, promoting, retaining employees. Those are the people who need to be involved in this process. Now, I'm saying training, but I'm saying training as not necessarily, hey, come to the conference room, we're going to talk, but I'm talking about training as an ongoing dialogue. Okay. So do we mean formal training? Well, sure. Do we mean ongoing training? Sure. You know, a quarterly training or, you know, monthly training, a lunch and learn something? Sure, absolutely. But there are other opportunities to intervene. Okay. When you have the person who comes in your office, if you're an HR person and you have the person who comes into your office and they don't know what FMLA is. Well, all I know is I have a supervisee who's been out of work 3 days or more, and someone said they have to get on FMLA. Well, it's okay. It sounds like this is a FMLA eligible event, but let me talk to you about FMLA. This is a teachable moment. This is a training conversation, a formal training. You're imparting knowledge. And I think it's important when we're implementing this, we recognize those teachable moments. We recognize, okay, this is a hiring, this is a supervisor. The rest of our HR staff, we're all on board with this information. We have this knowledge and we understand the importance of what it is that we're doing. One of the more challenging things is promoting awareness. If you're not aware of an issue, if you're not aware of a problem, there's virtually nothing you can do about it. And I think and I'm speaking as a counselor, one of the more challenging aspects of counseling is that if you're working with a client who doesn't know that they have a problem, when they don't know that they have a problem, you can expect some resistance. Once they understand what the problem is, then the counseling process becomes a lot easier. And I think that we can extend this to pretty much anywhere in life. There's something called, I don't know if y'all have heard of this, it's called cognitive dissonance. If there's something that you think you know, and then someone comes along and tells you something that disconfirms something that you know, cognitive dissonance is all that anxiety and all that just strong emotions or negative emotions that can result from hearing something that disconfirms something that you know. So once you address, okay, here's the obstacle, or here's what you thought you knew, but this is what it actually is, the rest of the work is very easy. So whether you're doing ongoing training or having conversations, it's not something you just leave on the shelf. It's something you do a little bit every day, educating the managers, educating the supervisors. I am my agency's liaison. If someone has a disability issue, if someone is looking at hiring someone who is disabled, if someone has an employee who needs an accommodation, they're going to come to me and I give them, okay, these are the issues that you need to consider. Okay. And again, that's more teachable stuff. It's an ongoing informal sort of training. When you are educating your staff, the hiring managers, the supervisors, et cetera, the folks who are the key players in this, you want to make the training relatable. Okay. One thing that I do when I train is, yeah, I'm a stream of consciousness kind of person, but I try not to go too far off on one way, too far off. But I do draw from personal experiences. Okay. So if you have someone, a hiring manager, and you're talking to them about disability issues and they just can't wrap their head around it, how do you make this relatable? Well, you make it relatable in terms of what they know. For example, I am an introvert. Those of you who know me probably never picked up on this, but I am an introvert. I'm an introvert from the word go. I'm not 100% introverted, but I am introverted. When I do training, the extrovert in me comes right out and I do and say what I have to say, do what I have to do during training, and then I'm done. Then I go back to my office, I close my door, and I'm exhausted for the rest of the day. I have to recharge by going in and just having quiet time and me time and whatever. Many years ago, when I was just getting started in training and development, and this is in the early 2000s, I had a boss who could not be more different from me. She was easily the best trainer I've ever seen, and I stand by that. I've known her 16, 17 years. Easily the best trainer I have ever known. You could attend a workshop, an afternoon workshop on, she's going to teach you how to make baked Alaska, okay, or ice cream sundaes. Very straightforward sort of recipe. She will have you in stitches. You will be killing yourself laughing. You will be having the best time ever, okay? She is that talented a trainer. She's also very extroverted. I'm not. If you know anything about introverts, we're quiet, we're deliberate. Most of our world is up here. We can socialize up to a point, but after that, it's like, you know what? I need to go back to my office and recharge. She never seemed to understand that. Well, after working with her for about 18 months, she would make comments and she would say things without saying them. There was something wrong with me because I'm introverted. Now think about that. Introversion is a personality type. It's a personality preference. It's not pathological. The Diagnostic and Statistical Manual is a who's who. It's a book that contains all kinds of information on mental illness. There is no mention of introversion being pathological in that book. She would imply that I had self-confidence issues. I don't. She would imply that I'm mildly depressed. I'm not. She would imply that I'm antisocial, and antisocial meaning, I don't seek to be around people. I'm none of those things. How would you feel if someone told you or implied that one of your personality traits is pathological? What does that feel like? Now, I'm not suggesting at all that I have a disability. I don't. Introversion it has nothing to do with disabilities. However, let's apply this story to someone who has a disability. What if someone uses a wheelchair and someone makes comments about, and saying things that you shouldn't be saying about someone who uses a wheelchair, or making assumptions, incorrect assumptions about someone who uses a wheelchair? What must that be like? Well, I can't imagine because I don't use a wheelchair. Well, let me ask you something. What was it like when someone misunderstood you or made an incorrect assumption about you, or there was some misconception that was being applied to you? Do you get it now? So if you can communicate what it's like to be misunderstood, whether you have a disability or there was something else, but what it's like to be misunderstood, and to have that misunderstanding or that misconception as a barrier, then you understand something of what it's like to exist with a disability. And again, I'm not saying that introversion is a disability. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying we're kind of in the neighborhood here. So when you have a teachable moment like this and you impart an experience like this with someone who just can't wrap their mind around the value of why this program or why this task force exists and why we want to promote inclusion and awareness of what disability issues are, but also why it's important to have these people working with the rest of us, have these folks. We have room for everyone, okay? So that's why this is important. I've talked a lot. Are there any questions, or is there anything I'm saying what are y'all thinking? Or should I keep on going?
Doing well, Doug.
Okay, with my luck, I'm just gonna keep on talking. Someone said, no, wait, I gotta say that. So I didn't want to run over anyone. So at any rate, if you can relate, if you can make the training relatable, if you can make the topic relatable, then most of the work is done, okay? And in my experience, since I've begun work with the task force and getting the word out there, the exception has been that one person, or that who occasionally there's some pushback, or the person who says, well, oh gosh, we can't afford to accommodate, or you learn to address those things and you learn to have the conversation. But the idea is identifying those people, those key players, your hiring managers, your supervisors, everyone who plays a role in the hiring and the retention, okay? The last thing I want to talk about is, I'm calling this, you know what? And I keep looking over my right shoulder because that's where my PowerPoint screen is. It's not on my monitor here. The whole idea about all of these 4 steps or all of these action items, it's to identify what the obstacles are. The bigger picture is identify what the obstacles are, and then to promote awareness. Look, this is an obstacle, or this is an issue, okay? Whether it's misconceptions, or whether it's, not wanting to hear that phone call from human resources, hey, we have an LRS client, something like that. It's realizing the damage that can happen when we generalize or we make assumptions. And then what you want to do is reframe that. And reframing is also a counseling technique, and it's about changing your perception. If you've always looked at, like, if you don't like broccoli, and I can take broccoli or leave it, usually what always makes me eat my broccoli is when I remember broccoli is good for me, rather than just thinking, oh, it tastes terrible or whatever. The minute I remind myself broccoli is good for you, I've reframed the experience, or I reframe my approach to it, and all of a sudden broccoli becomes delicious. So what you do is if there's any kind of resistance, is you reframe the thinking and think, okay, this is your perspective, but what happens when you look at it from this angle? It becomes a completely different experience. Lastly, providing the education, okay, being that contact person and being available to people. Hey, look, I'm not sure, someone is making an accommodation request and this is looking kind of expensive. Look, come on and let's talk about that. Just come on and let's talk about it. So what you want to have happen eventually at your agency is having productive conversations about any potential barriers or any potential issues that may come into play hiring and retaining employees with disabilities. And what makes the process easier, or what makes the point of the process, is having the productive conversations that are based in fact, and not conversations that are based in generalizations or incorrect assumptions. The last thing I want to say is, in imparting information to your managers, your supervisors, et cetera, sometimes folks have a limited, and I don't want to say a two-dimensional, but that's the only word that comes to mind, a limited or a two-dimensional understanding of things like the EEOC or FMLA or other federal laws that come into play. Giving people education or educating them on these things are complex, they're nuanced, and this is what this means. Being able to have those conversations and being readily available to say, okay, look, we don't need to worry about that part of the law. What we're talking about is this one issue right here. And 9 times out of 10, when you isolate the issue, when you're talking about that fine point of the ADA, when you're talking about something like the interactive process, people just, oh, it's not as complex. No, it's not as complex. It's just, let's talk through this. So, all right, as Mama says, we're rounding third and heading home. The last thing I want to talk about is item 4.11. This is arguably the easiest thing to accomplish. It's about identifying opportunities to get the word out, okay? First and foremost, first contact with the agency is going to be your job vacancies. This is so easy. What you do is, whoever does the posting in Law Careers or wherever you advertise your agency's job vacancies, we put that little blurb in. Louisiana is a state as a model employer for individuals with disabilities. So if this is an LRS client, they're going to see that and they're going to think, ah, great. They're going to know the tone that we're setting. They're going to recognize the tone that we're setting, and they're going to appreciate that. From that point, when we bring on someone new in orientation, I always talk about Americans with Disabilities Act. I always talk about, this is the process. I am the contact person. If you need an accommodation, come talk to me. I want to hear from you. I don't know how it is at your agencies. One thing we get in the past year and a half, a lot of people have been requesting these adjustable height desks. And every once in a while, someone will come in and say, I have this issue, I have that issue. I don't want to be in any trouble. I just need an adjustable height desk. I'm like, that's absolutely, gosh, if it, that's a $180 investment. If it makes a world of difference for you, this is the easiest thing in the world. And just having that conversation with someone and saying, look, this is easy. Oh gosh, you have no idea. I thought you were going to say I was a squeaky wheeler. No, gosh, no. That's what we're here for. So getting the word out about things like ADA, doing it on the front end, but also having those conversations, not just with your hiring managers, but with employees. Now, one challenge we have faced is, in the world of technology and constant information, when we send out emails, people don't always read them. There is this rumor going around DEQ, when people get my broadcast emails, the first thing they do is hit delete. Unless it says something about an office closure, they just hit delete. But getting the information out there, it can be challenging. Looking for those opportunities, new hire orientation, definitely with the job vacancy postings. We have monthly newsletters. If your agency has a monthly newsletter, if there's some little news note you want to put in there, whether it's related to the EEOC or just some little fun fact that you want to put about disability awareness or state as model employer, put that in there. Definitely during National Disability Awareness Month. Coordinate with your agency's public information officer and say, hey, can can I submit a piece? Or, we have this really interesting story. Can we put this in this month's newsletter? So you have multiple opportunities. What can be daunting is one, making sure it gets out, but also accepting people may not always read it. And, in a world where you have constant streams of news and Twitter and Facebook, it's so easy to miss emails. It's, my mom fusses at me all the time. She says, honey, every time I send you a text message, it seems like you stop reading after the first 5 words. And, it happens. But recognizing these opportunities to get the word out and to talk about what it is we're doing and help people realize this is a resource. And this is something, it may have been something you thought was unattainable. It's not. We've got resources and we can help. So does anyone have any questions? I'm sorry for that abrupt shift. I know that was a bad transition.
Hi, Doug. This is Melissa Bayham, the Director of Louisiana Rehabilitation Services.
Hey,
And
Melissa.
how are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Good. It's Friday. I just wanted to say thank you so much for the support that you have for our consumers. And what you said was spot on. Obviously, we don't want people to think that they're required to hire our participants, but we think that our participants have value. But like any position, they may or may not be the best person for that particular position. But I definitely thank you for the message that you're sending to your staff and the training that you're trying to provide to them. It's definitely appreciated, and I'm glad to hear the support that you're giving to our client. Well,
I tell you, this is, and I appreciate the kind words and I appreciate the feedback. This is just something, it's important. And I don't mean to get on a soapbox, but to say that it's important, that's an understatement. But this is just, it's a wonderful opportunity. And, I can't say enough good about it.
Thank you so much.
All right. Anyone else?
I think it's important to note too, like I find when people are resistant, to maybe I sense a little feedback from pushback from people that, with medical advances, everybody's working longer, things like that. So, maybe just sneaking in a statistic of, how many people that become employed will get a disability, will kind of put in their mind, hey, that could be me.
Right.
It's so easy to separate people with disabilities. Oh, well, that's someone else's problem. But when you make it something that could potentially be beneficial to you personally or a loved
Right.
one, or your problem or benefit, I think that could take it to an even higher level and knock down some attitude boundaries that there may be.
Absolutely. One thing that came up early on, this is, late 2018, and this wasn't at my agency, but I was talking to a colleague about, the status model employer task force and the work we're doing. And this is a colleague from private industry. And she had mentioned to me that someone over the course of the years had said something to the effect, well, our main concern is that people with disabilities will apply for work that they're not qualified for. And she says, that nothing could be farther from the truth. And I said, exactly. I don't know any research that says, this is a thing that people with disability, and so it's combating some of those misconceptions and people and again, I'm sorry folks for just harping on this, but it is so unfair to cling on to a misconception, particularly when there's no data to support it, but to cling to those misconceptions when there's something that is 99.9%, 100% with no basis, and someone's going to cling on to that. It's like, you can't do that. But she said, she pushed back and she was talking to this hiring manager and she says, no, there is nothing to support. People are experts on their capabilities, whether this is a person who is disabled or a person who is not disabled. They know what their limitations are. And 99% of people will not apply for work that they can't do, whether it's misrepresenting their education or some other knowledge, skills, and abilities. Most people don't do that. So why would we assume that, well, you know, people who are disabled, that's a different much? That's not true. And you cannot afford to think that way.
Well, and I think with the rehab clients, you know, they have the support of vocational rehab and vocational rehab counselors that aren't just saying they're suited to they may be suited to the job. They, you know, they have their counselor, also second set of person that's saying, you know, maybe this is something that would be a good fit for you.
Right.
As well.
Absolutely. Okay, anyone else?
Yeah, Doug, I wanted to mention how critical it is what you're discussing as far as getting past these barriers, because hiring managers come to interviews with preconceived notions for every candidate they're considering. And I think some of them need to be educated on things they may encounter in the interview that could be seen as an obstacle or barrier to the person performing the job. So the education there on the front end, I think, will help hiring managers when they're conducting their interviews to continue to be focused on what's important for the individual to have to be successful, regardless of maybe what they're seeing in the interview that they wouldn't have otherwise anticipated.
Right, absolutely.
Another thing that I wanted to point out is if you ever do interview one of our clients, sometimes our clients may not be really good at interviewing. They may have the qualifications needed for the job, and being that extrovert part of a person is not really a requirement of that job or what have you. And I think that people need to pay attention to that. Now, recently, I had somebody apply for several state positions. They were doing exceptionally well in practicing for the interview, but when it came down to the actual interview, they would freeze up and they were getting discouraged. So I sought permission to put that in my little blurb in the introductory email. And so some of you guys may have seen that recently, saying, just a reminder, this, you know, not all of our clients are going to interview well, but, you know, and then I'll state their qualifications or whatever, and kind of restate the fact that they are qualified for that job. I typically don't do that, but I have to give certain gentle reminders every now and then, you know. And then I saw permission. I got permission from the consumer to do that. So whenever you see something like that, it's probably because that person has experienced a little bit of no's and lately, and we needed to turn that around. And so that was my way of doing like a gentle reminder or gentle education that they're not always going to interview well.
That's an excellent point. That's an excellent point. Does anyone else have any other observations?
Okay, well, thank you, Doug.
No problem. Thank you, everyone, for putting up with me for 30 minutes. This was a lot of fun. Y'all take care and have a great Friday. And Bambi, I'm going to turn it back over to you.
Okay, so back to our agenda. Let's see. Okay, I'm gonna pull up our our assignments for the same report recommendations. And then I'm gonna also, after that, gonna pull up the website. We had some updates. We put the 2021 agency plans on it. So let me just pull up that recommendations. Okay, hold on a second. Okay, so we had Doug has successfully and wonderfully did our sections on accommodations. And so we just need a plan for next month, what sections we want to get done. Does anyone want to volunteer for their sections for next month? Don't all raise your hands at once. Can you all see my screen? I don't know. Can y'all hear me?
We can hear
Can
you.
y'all hear me talking? Okay. Okay.
Can hear you and see.
We can see your screen now.
Okay. So just no one wants to volunteer.
Hey, Bambi, this is
I
Samantha.
understand. Hey,
Hey, can you hear me?
yes.
Okay, I can do our section next month.
Okay. So that's the 3.3, which is the expansion of the civil service rule, and then the WAE positions, which I think we were going to see if LDH and DOC, the governor's office, could talk about how they use WAE positions, but it's certainly not limited to those three agencies. So I really would like if any of you guys have, used WAE positions, if you wouldn't mind talking at that meeting, just briefly sharing. So that'll be great. So that'll be at our April meeting. Very good. Okay. And then I'm going to go to our web page. Give me a second. My internet seems to be a little slow here. Okay, and so this is our Disability Employment Initiative page, which you've all seen before. If you could see, we have each of the agencies listed, and you could see we added this second line, to click here for the 2021 same plan. Now, some of you may see that yours isn't uploaded. And the reason why it could be that you were maybe had submitted it at one of the last ones to submit it, and I just didn't get it scanned in and sent over to our IT people or our web people. But I will get that done next week. So this is just to let y'all know the plans are up, scanned in. This is just an example. So DOTD. Click here, and I click on it, it'll show their plan. Scroll through. Guess I have to it has all of the plan, and then it has, which is a little awkward, but then your chart that you received with your numbers. So someone would have to print it out or turn their head sideways, but it's there, so people can have access to the information. Any questions about that? Are y'all seeing that? Did it switch over to show the DOTD plan? Okay,
Yeah, I can see it.
okay. Any questions or comments about that? Okay. And then our last item on the agenda is the, I think, yeah, update on the ADA state coordinator proposal. So this will be, y'all know we've talked about having a state ADA coordinator. That will be part of the governor's package this legislative session. So Representative Rhonda Butler will be the legislator carrying that bill. And so we've done a lot of work between this committee and the Governor's Advisory Council on Disability Affairs and given recommendations on what would be best for such a position or office. And so just want to give y'all that update that that's happening and just see if you guys have any comments or thoughts that you want to share about that. Are y'all not able to hear me? I see Brenda.
Can hear you.
Okay.
We hear you, Bradley.
Brenda. Okay. Okay. So if you have any feedback or thoughts you want to share with me privately about that, you certainly know how to reach out to me. Anything else that someone wanted to bring up? We'll just open the floor up for any discussion.
You did a great job, Doug. That's it.
Kind of broke up, Jason. Did you say?
Oh,
Can you
I
say that
said
again?
I said Doug did a great job. That's my second class that I've been with him, so he does a great job.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Hey everybody. Hey Bambi. This is
Yep. Thanks,
Dr.
Doug. We
Jefferson.
really appreciate it.
Sorry.
Mhm.
This is Dr.
ahead.
Jefferson from OBH. I just wanted to know, did you want us to just give a little update about what we have going on with the Voice Initiative? I know for the last several meetings we haven't had
Yes.
anything. So I just want to give us some good
Please.
news.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
hey again everybody. We have gotten a little movement on our voice training and technical assistance opportunity that we've been working with the Office for Disability Employment Policy for the last few years. Due to COVID, a lot of things were delayed, but they recently extended 10 extra hours. I know it's not a lot. We're hoping we can get some more. But we did get approved for the 10 extra, and we have a plan to do some of the things that we wanted to do within those 10 hours. And our SMEs are so great that they are actually doing some of the work pro bono for us. So be on the lookout for some invitations to attend some informational meetings, and we're calling them trainings, but they're not technically trainings, but it's to promote education and awareness. A lot of the things that Dr. Bordelon was just talking about in his presentation. So just wanted to let you all know that. And so Melissa, Bambi, and I will be in touch with you about where we're going and how that develops.
Thanks, Dr. Jefferson. And these are, so the subject matter experts are going to be doing some trainings. You, OBH and LRS are kind of targeting two regions, correct? But you're going to open it up to more than just those two regions?
Yes, and more information will be forthcoming. We're still making sure that we're finalizing everything. So that's kind of why I'm giving a more general overview of it. But just wanted everyone to know that we do have movement and to be on the lookout, because we will be sharing that information, because we're planning on opening it up to more than just the few people that have been identified, if that makes sense, or the few entities that have been identified.
Yeah, that's great news. Thank you, guys. Anyone else have any updates? And I apologize, we didn't have that segment in our agenda, so I don't know if LRS, if you guys wanted to share anything. I know that's partial, that's your work as well, so I don't know if you have something in addition to that.
Hi, Bambi. It's Melissa. No, Ashley did a great job. We are excited about the work. I think our pilots will be in Baton Rouge and Homa, and hopefully, like she said, what we learned during that, during when we had the SMEs assistance, we obviously want to expand that to the different regions throughout the state in an effort to serve our individuals with serious mental illness better than we have in the past. So we're definitely looking forward to that work. And I thank Dr. Jefferson for all of her hard work in getting the new hours approved. So thank you so much.
Okay, anything else anyone wants to share? Okay, if not, everyone enjoy your weekend. Thank you.
You too, Bambi.
Hey, guys.